Good afternoon, and welcome to the second episode of the KULR Technology Group's Energy Solutions Today. I'm your host, David Meltzer. The podcast is a quarterly conversation with KULR's leaders and other experts in the battery and sustainable industry. In our second episode, we'll go over the company's latest product launches, which I've firsthand got to see, and discuss global market opportunities, the influence of AI, artificial intelligence, has in battery development, and how KULR is developing circular and sustainable battery supply solutions for the long run. I am so blessed to be with the co-founder and CEO of KULR Technology Group, Michael Moe, as we will guide ourselves through this unbelievable opportunity that exists today and for our future. Michael, welcome to the incredible series here with our newest show, the Battery Solutions Today podcast.
Hey, Dave, thank you for hosting our podcast series again. And it was great to see you at CES.
Well, I would imagine, I'm around a lot of C-level executives from the biggest companies in the world, and I could see it on your face at CES. Your head must be spinning. You have so much opportunity, so many options, so many touches of favor with the best of breed technology in one of the fastest growing spaces in the global economy. And I can't even imagine as I was sitting there with the Andretti family looking at the future. And let me just tell you, I was at that booth at CES. I felt as if I'd entered the twilight zone and moved forward 50 years because some of the things that I see that KULR has already created, I didn't think I'd see for 50 years. Let's go over first the platform itself. Tell me about the company's new KULR ONE platform.
Yeah, no, Dave, you're so kind. Though it was a tremendous show for us at CES in January. We unveiled the KULR ONE platform. And KULR ONE is a modular, intelligent battery platform with safety rating that we've developed for the NASA manned space mission. It is really a result of a combination of all of our capabilities, expertise, know-hows, and IP into this brand new platform. We believe the industry is moving towards a energy as a service type of model. Very much like the transition that the cloud industry moved to when Amazon introduced the Amazon Web Services, AWS. It's really taking the best of the best breed of what they have developed and made it available through the cloud to everybody. So what we're doing is to take the best of the best breed that we have developed, partnered, licensed, and the technology know-how that we've gotten over the years and put into this KULR ONE platform to service the lithium-ion battery industry that combines, fast charging capabilities, very high power throughput, all the intelligence that you can think about, and using AI access on the back end to give you a lot of intelligence about your battery pack, and most importantly, to have the safety and sustainability standard that's kind of meets the NASA's Artemis manned mission. So KULR ONE is really our platform to help accelerate the global transition to the sustainable electrification economy.
And I want to point out two different things because it's so easy for someone that's so integrated into their own extraordinary program and platform. Is first, you talked about energy as a service. And in order for energy to be a service, just like the cloud, for example, or AWS, you actually have to have a more ubiquitous model. And part of that model that blew me away was the modular energy system that you had, that it really was about placing these incredible energy sources on a wall. And the modular capability, and just describing what I saw from layman's terms, I know that the hyper technology that you have been able to execute on over the years to get us to Mars and unbelievable things. Now I'm looking at, you have taken it down to a granular level that my landscaper can utilize the same modular technology while I'm air conditioning my home, while I'm driving my bike in my car, all of these different things. It truly is energy as a service. It truly is one platform that's modular that can power all of our lives. Can you give me a little bit more detail on how you've been able to leverage what got us to Mars without blowing up people and planets that now can trim our hedges in our front yard?
Yeah, so what you're talking about is the KULR ONE module that you see, and then how you kind of Lego it. That become a building block, and you use one of them for an e-bike, let's say, and two of these units to power your power tools, and use three. And then in the CES case, we had 18 of them on the wall to demonstrate how this can be kind of grouped together as an energy storage product for your home and for your business. So it's our view that in order to make this e-mobility and the electrification economy really sustainable, you need to have not just a safe battery pack, intelligent, all that. You need to have multiple use per battery pack. Just like we never buy, we don't buy an iPad one for Excel spreadsheet, one for Zoom, or for something else. That'll be too wasteful. But right now we have the batteries for everything, but it's all dedicated for that. So the vision is that to build one platform that could be reused across multiple applications. And some of the enabling factor for that reusability and modularity is, first of all, you got to be safe. Number two, you got to have fast charging capabilities, because if it takes 8 hours to charge your battery, you can reuse them. So our battery packs can be recharged in 30 minutes into full charge. So when you are not using it at night or in between your tasks, you can charge it very quickly and then really achieve that reuse capability. So that is really the kind of the platform play, and I think at CES, which is the beginning of the showcase of those capabilities.
It was amazing, and one of the frustrating things that I have as someone who hosts such an extraordinary, enlightening show when it comes to the Battery Solutions Today podcast is that we have to do it quarterly, because it doesn't leave us enough time to get all the announcements covered with the progress and utility and ubiquity of an energy as a service solution. But one of the most recent things that I've read in the news and at CES as well was about a partnership in the racing space, not just with the Andretti's, but Theory Racing, which is a leading World Cup enduro racing team. And you're developing a next generation e-bike battery, which obviously e-bikes are of the future. Every major city in the world, we see these e-bikes popping up, and you're incorporating the KULR ONE into their designs as the leader in the space with Theory Racing. And how do you see that play helping to create more acceleration, awareness, and safety in what we've seen burn down homes? It's been incredible, some of the stories that I've read that you're solving to not only create better flexibility, better environmental, sustainable practices, but it's safety that KULR's been known for throughout the years as you've traveled from Mars and beyond.
Yeah, no, I think, just by, partnering with teams like Theory Racing is really trying to shine a spotlight on these capabilities, because they kind of, pushing the envelope on the edge of performance and so forth. So it's a good way to show that. But it's really important that for e-mobility, for e-bike, electric cars, electric planes that we do a lot of work on, frankly, this all form of transportation getting electrification, we need to address the safety as the number one priority, not an afterthought. So some things that you mentioned about e-bike in New York City and other cities, it's already becoming a crisis, right? So the New York City Fire Department is asking the city, the state, and the federal government to start regulating these products. So we're working with authorities to customize and test our Safe Case product line to specifically address this issue. The Safe Case product line is something that we developed for the International Space Station. It's been on the ISS to safely store astronauts' laptop batteries and their portable battery packs. And then we've commercialized that product, and we got Department of Transportation special permits to ship these products, for recycling DDR batteries and prototype batteries, and working with Serpa, the largest battery recycling company in the world, in the U.S., to get to these customers. So it's really important for us to work with regulators, infrastructure providers, logistic providers, and the city of New York, to customize these things and then test them and address these issues. So we could expect to share some updates on those fronts very soon.
And everyone in the latest buzz everywhere is this thing called Chat GPT, and obviously it's big in the media and content space. I didn't realize how pertinent it was until I read a tweet that you were excited about Chat GPT, that you were excited about how KULR team can integrate with OpenAI's platform, which is the creator of Chat GPT. And we're just at the infancy stage, and you're someone who is a visionary. You know how things aggregate, compound, and accelerate, especially in the data analysis field. You guys have been able to build the world's safest battery. And I'm going to repeat that because as someone who looks at a high level at critical business issues, that is the key value, the quantitative value that I see KULR brings to the market, is that whether it's in solar, e-bike, wherever batteries are used, airplanes, going back, I'm a cell phone guy. I ran Samsung's phone division with their first data device, which had a bigger draw. Look, those would explode as well, and they cause great damage. So, I'm very interested in how you want to integrate or are integrating with OpenAI's platform to help enhance what you've already created as the world's safest battery.
This is a much bigger topic and much bigger question. So, I think the AI is presenting a new transformational inflection point for the entire technology industry as well. Frankly, the whole world. You see some of the capabilities and sometimes some of the weakness around that. But let's just focus on the capability and some of these transformational disruptions this can introduce. So the way we think about this as how it's relevant to KULR is on two fronts. One is how to incorporate AI capability into our workflow and a process to increase productivity. This is something that I tweeted about maybe a few weeks ago, and I'm excited about our engineers working on this. The other one is how to incorporate the AI infrastructure into our products to make the safest battery even safer throughout its life. So we demonstrated how AI like ChatGPT can be utilized by one of our engineers in the design and testing process of our FTRC test, which is, we licensed, and it was a way for NASA to test for battery safety. So by incorporating this, it's allowing our engineer to be more creative and also more productive. And I think those are just incredible directions that the world, as you think about building an organization, needs to really think about. Now, the engineers are obviously at the forefront of incorporating these technologies, but in addition to that, we're encouraging our kind of entire organization, different parts, to think about how to build their organization operation on top of AI, from sales and marketing, including how to follow up with customers, from the CES lead to operations to finance to HR. All fronts needs to utilize AI as a tool for productivity. And that's going to help us on our way to path of profitability. On the product front, we've developed AI-powered technology like CellCheck and KULR Vibe, which is a real-time monitoring of the battery state of health. KULR Vibe is using machine learning to identify and remove vibration of electric mobility and helicopters. So incorporating more advanced capabilities like GPT, forthcoming 4.0 and other AI infrastructure to be available, is going to greatly enhance and speed up our product development and capabilities. So we want to be riding the wave of this transformation inflection point. And there's a lot of tailwind behind it. We want to be the forefront in riding that wave.
And Michael, one of the things that's so remarkable about a visionary company, a company that is dealing with things that we only dream of, like going to Mars and e-bikes and Indy 500 cars and all types of sustainable practices of the world's safest battery, is usually there's one thing that's missing. And it's missing from what is my mission of making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. You guys actually have revenue. It's not just vaporware. There's actually products and there's actually revenue coming in. And in fact, your revenue in 2022, the preliminary numbers from Q4, as I read, were up about 137% in revenue. It's absolutely remarkable that a company that's so advanced in the technology and the vision would actually have revenue. It took companies like yours decades before they ever saw their first dime. What a remarkable accomplishment. So many companies, and probably why you're listed on the New York Stock Exchange.
So we announced our preliminary Q4 number to be $1.8 million in revenue, which was a record revenue quarter for us in our history. 137% year-over-year growth. Really finished 2022 very strong, and I also believe it's an inflection point for KULR as well. We see strong growth in the energy storage market. Customers are adopting our KULR ONE and also our KULR ONE design solutions package. Since CES, lots of engagements. We see a lot of growth in our design and services revenue. That's usually a good sign, Dave, that that's like the beginning of our engagement is to the designing, testing, simulation, and all that, and then get to the point where the customer design the product, our solution, into the product as they ramp up in production, and then then we have a huge ramp in the revenue with the customer. So having all these design and testing engagements is a good sign of future revenue ramp to come. So finishing 2022 really strong. And we see 2023 really to continue on that momentum. And I won't be surprised if we actually start accelerating that throughout the year as we get to more maturity with the customer and their product launches.
Now, there's so many ways that we can use the world's safest battery. We can use it, in a commercial setting, in an industrial setting. We can use it, of course, in, a space setting for the future.
Yes.
But you are really the only one that knows where the greatest needs are for KULR's technology. Where are the greatest needs for the world today for KULR, and where you're at today and where you will be in the future?
Our mission is to build an energy management platform, to accelerate the transition, the global transition to sustainable electrification. So the world actually needs to transition, to the electrification economy to be more efficient, to more sustainable, and for future generations. So the big needs are energy storage. Without storage, you're always going to have the transmission problem. You're going to have the generation problem. You're going to have the utilization problem. You're going to have that. So storage, I think it's the biggest breakthrough going forward. And then it's about storage at the use case. So if you think about an analogy for that, you have your iPhone. And your iPhone, now it's on 5G and LTE and so forth. It's got very fast transmission, which you can say that, electricity had very fast transition too. But just imagine your iPhone without the storage for your songs, for your photos, and for your content information. So every time you use it, you need to grab it from the internet. You think about how cumbersome that is, right? And the same is now it's happening. It's been the case for our energy use. Now, for most other utility that we use or necessity in life, we have storage. Your food, you have storage. refrigerator storage. For water, you can have a water tank storage, but it's very difficult to have energy storage, sustainable, safe, reliable, cost-effective energy storage. So the world would be a different place if you have energy storage reliably, cost-effectively at the usage level. Then the whole power generation, transmission, all that paradigm changes. You have time shifting, space shifting, cost balances, and all that stuff, and you don't have as much outages anymore. So I think the world will become a different paradigm for us to look at when you have really cost-effective and sustainable and safe localized storage, and that's what we thrive for.
And you define that as, a type of thermal management technology that you've created. And there's so many different secret sauces. As a lawyer myself, looking at the intellectual property and protecting not only our people and our places and our things with thermal management and that technology, but also protecting the company itself with the intellectual property that sets you apart. What are some of the secret sauces within the context of the business that would make us want to buy KULR products over other people?
Well, you mentioned, patents. That's terribly important. We have 12 patents granted, and we also have many more patents pending around that. So we think that one of the biggest value creation is to generate technology IP around that. In addition to that, there's a lot of, secret sauce, trade secrets, know-how that we don't patent because that kind of give the world a little bit blueprint on what we do. So we don't do that. But at the end of the day, Dave, this as well as anybody, it's about the people, because people creates the technology, the infrastructure, and everything. So we've been fortunate to put together an incredible team at KULR. We've been building that team over the last couple of years. Keith Cochran, our president COO, joined us a couple of years ago, has been just really driving the team building culture around that. Dr. Will Walker joined us last year as a CTO from NASA. Previously he was the battery thermal lead at Johnson Space Center for 13 years. We've known Will for a long time. He joined us. Since then, he's attracted probably about a dozen or so engineers and talent that was previously at NASA JSC that worked with him on the problem that we're trying to solve. So, we are trying to position us as a talent magnet, very focused, dedicated to solve this particular problem, and put a team together. Ted Krupp joined us earlier this year as our VP of Sales and Product Marketing from 22 years of experience. So I think that we've got the best bench that we've ever had as a team, and we continue to strengthen that. After that, it's just about building the ecosystem, building a technology, the partnerships, the ecosystem. And we're also very involved in regulatory discussions. So we work with, UL, Department of Transportation, DOD, DOE, FAA, UN. We host a UN battery, safety meeting. So really get our technology and our thought leadership in front of the regulators and work with them on, getting that technology into the market and be approved by regulators. At the end of the day, it's to position KULR as the one-stop shop for our customers. And then they need to pass regulation. They need to pass certification. We want to be the one-stop shop to provide them the most cost-effective, efficient way to get to market and to create a lot of value for our customers.
And those customers, they're starting to be with all the options and opportunities that you have by providing a superior solution, creates a backlog, and you have a certain targeted audience and have to find your essence, authenticity, your sweet spot. Give me a little bit of an idea of your growth plans with all the options that you have of, where and who that backlog is and who the target audience and sweet spot is.
Yeah, the big growth driver for us is energy storage, as kind of repeat again and again, and our KULR ONE platform. We just announced a new customer order for over $2.6 million. That's on our PPR solution with an industrial energy storage customer. that's just one example of how we're taking the technology from Mars rover, and you kind of talked about International Space Station, and we service DoD prime contractors like Lockheed Martin over the last few years, and then we kind of transition that into scale and deploy for commercial customers. And that's just a sign of things to come, and we're also working on new battery cell and battery pack configurations, newer technology to make it the safest in the world, and frankly also in the space, for that matter, for like the NASA the Artemis application to the moon. In the next frontier, in the next the big growth wave is going to be about scaling up these technology and operation for very large mass market applications.
And with that credibility of working with NASA and their support that they give, and obviously the credibility and respect of all the third-party validation in the space, from the highest level of race cars to spaceships to e-bikes, and even lawn care equipment, it brings great credibility. And we were talking about revenue, and I was on a public call for with the management, and you guys talked about timing of how we recognize revenue. And this is more for my business acumen, because a lot of times, there's such a positive aspect of revenue, and yet the recognition is more of a logistical type of thing, and it can come across and not necessarily reflect the growth, the success, and credibility of what's going on. Can you explain to me, at least in a little bit more detail, about how the revenue and the timing of the revenue with the recognition is applicable to the success of the company?
Yeah, no, that's a good recognition, Dave. So yeah, early in 2022, we had some supply chain issues due to COVID lockdown, and also just the overall logistic issues around the world on getting stuff shipped on time. So that was that was quite challenging for us in Q1, Q2, maybe even earlier Q3 of 2022. Since then, we've made significant investments in both securing more of the supply chain in North America, make investments in automation equipment and infrastructure here in North America, and we'll continue to execute that in 2023. I think our Q4 2022 number kind of showed that we make significant progress on that, and produce a record revenue, quarter on that. And prior to that, in Q3, we had a $1.3 million quarter, which was a kind of demonstration also about how some of the things have eased. So like I said, we just expect continue to execute, and throughout 2023, the revenue ramp will continue on that, if not accelerate into the year.
And I think of KULR and I think of superiority, and I can't wait to see that superiority this year in the Indy 500 again, as you came so close to winning last year. And we talked about superiority in intellectual property, technology, safety, and revenue. I haven't seen a company that is so visionary actually get those type of revenue numbers so early. But another thing that really fires me up about KULR is the margins that are available. A lot of times early technologies don't have margins, and they don't have an appropriate cost structure. And I have studied this space, which is why I truly enjoy working with KULR and can do everything possible to raise the awareness to the thermal technologies that you have and the storage technologies that you have and the leadership and people that you have. But I couldn't believe the cost structure and how it does create a huge market advantage over your competitors. What is that cost structure, and how does it create a superior solution as a business to your competition?
Yeah, that's Rome isn't built one day, so all that is 10 years in the making. Continue to build on that heritage of serving the DoD and aerospace customers, and build up enough IP know-how and the process to be able to scale up. So our KULR ONE design solutions package that you saw at CES is really a holistic and a kind of a complete platform to take our customer through the NASA methodology and to produce the safest and the most sustainable battery in the world for multiple applications. So as we've been scaling up and servicing more of these customers, we're reaching a point of, I would say, economy of scale to some extent, that we can leverage the best practices, best products to be very efficient and apply across multiple customers, apply across multiple industries in cost-effective ways. And that, I think, is creating some cost competitive, cost structure that's make us more competitive as we scale up the operation in 2023 and beyond. It's certainly our expectation and hope that competitive advantage in cost structure that gets more and more reflected in our scale up.
Well, just to conclude, we've talked about the credibility of the company and its leaders. We've talked about the reasons why this technology is superior and why the technology will provide a success in the future. We talked about the impact that'll have on all of us, our world, as well as our economy, as well as our safety. And we talked about the capabilities, the extraordinary capabilities that only KULR possesses and have protected. The last question I want to ask is about emotion, because it is, when you are around KULR with all the incredible things you're working on, it's a ton of fun. And I meet very few people that have the luxury of being able to make money, help people, and have fun. And you're involved with going to outer space, and you're involved with the Indy 500, and you're involved in all types of fun things. For you, emotionally, what is it that you love most about KULR as a business?
I think the exposure to all these, what you call fun things, but we think it's mission critical things, to our customer is, put us in a privileged position. We feel privileged to be involved in that. So that is a sense of honor, sense of responsibility, and that gets my team motivated, and myself as well. I've always said that I view myself as a custodian of this technology. I'm fortunate to be the leader of KULR at this moment and led it throughout its path. So, I'm fortunate to surround myself with really talented, dedicated, good people to help us to build the culture around KULR. We certainly hope that continues. We work hard to make sure that continues, excuse me, as we scale up. I think that at the end of the day is you have to build a culture of innovation, of care, of dignity, of pride, and your mission statement and the everyday operation, how you communicate with your team, needs to reflect that. So it's from my board of directors to my leadership team to the technician that's actually doing the work. I mean, we had one customer visit, and in the evening I had dinner with the customer, and then he said something to me which was incredibly touching. And he said that, look, we've been to hundreds of suppliers and different customers, but when we talk to your engineer, and your engineer go to the back and show us how you do the testing, all that stuff, we've never seen that level of engineering expertise actually get hands-on to do the work, and the level of care they put into the actual physical work, not just the theoretical, but the physical work. And then they say, like, throughout the other members of your team, the technicians and otherwise, how much care they put into producing and all that stuff. And they told me, for this customer, they haven't seen that before. So that was very touching, and that was show of, I think it's a show of culture throughout the organization. Everybody had pride in what they do. At the end of the day, Dave, that's what's fundamentally going to drive the value of the company is the the pride of people who take care of their job, and that gets reflected throughout the organization.
And I've met so many different people within the context of your organization from the top to the bottom, and they definitely have a different expectation of culture. They spell culture at KULR, KULTR. That's culture. It's the top. It's the top of the top of culture. And I am just blessed to be here with the incredible co-founder and CEO of KULR Technology Group, Michael Moe. Thank you for allowing us to see the secrets that we find when we love what we do. This is David Meltzer with Energy Solutions Today. Come join us next quarter with more insightful and profitable ways to our future. Take care.